My name is Emerald Souza, and I am a logistics coordinator of outreach for the conference. First, I'd like to thank the AAMC for sponsoring and allowing this event to be broadcasted across the globe. We've collected this series of questions from pre-medical students regarding life in medical school and the application process through our online forum and social media during the last 6 months. If you have questions that you would like to submit during this time, please submit them via Twitter or Facebook using our hashtag UCDPHSA14 to be integrated into future sessions. We will not be taking questions directly from the audience for this reason. To begin, I would like to ask each panelist to introduce themselves, state their year in medical school, and the medical institution in which they currently attend. So we'll start here and go on down.
Hello, my name is Melissa Polk. I'm a third-year medical student at Touro University in California.
My name is Anthony Lim. I'm a first-year student at UC Davis School of Medicine.
My name is Libby McNiven. I'm a third-year medical student at UC San Francisco.
Hello, my name is Lucy Ogbu-Nwobodo. I'm a second year at UC Davis School of Medicine.
All right. So our first question is, are there any misconceptions about non-traditional applicants or students that you would like to clarify? So we can start here and go on down.
I think there might be a misconception that there's something wrong with being a non-traditional student, maybe taking some extra years off after graduating. But I think it's perfectly fine because you gain the life experiences that are essential for you to succeed in medical school. And what a lot of people forget is that since you are the one that is entering medical school, apply whenever you're ready. Don't feel like you're pressured into doing something that you're not ready yet. And so there's nothing wrong in taking, an extra few years to get yourself situated.
I think one of the things that I found in medical school was how common they were to, there were a lot more people that were non-traditional than I thought. I assumed they were all 21-year-olds when I would get there, but people have families, people have had different careers, they've had, just a whole wealth of life when they come to medical school. And I think almost half of my class is non-traditional. So you will not find yourself an alien or isolated. It is actually a lot more common than I thought. And so that's one thing I think I want to emphasize to people. Don't think that you're the anomaly. You're becoming more and more common, actually.
How did your time between your undergraduate and medical school education lead you to pursue a career in medicine?
For me, I already knew I wanted to go into medicine. I took time off because I had a unique situation. I ended up having a child in undergrad year, in my junior year. So I decided I wanted to complete that degree and then take some time off to spend time with my child and make sure that going into medicine was a good decision because it wasn't going to affect myself. It was now going to affect another person. And so taking the time off really gave me time to reflect, and it gave me time to get work experience working at Novartis, Genentech, working in the biopharmaceutical, and allowed me to realize, do I want to do bench work or do I want to be a people person? And I decided I really want to be a people person and go into the field of medicine. So it did give me time to have that perspective.
For me too, it's essentially reinforcement. If I'm going to spend 4 years dedicating my life, learning intense amount of information, and then more years honing it, I really want to be confident that this is what I want to do. And so I took a few years off to make sure that I was confident this was the direction I wanted to take my life in.
I sort of kept hoping that I could find some other career that wouldn't take so much time and so much energy to get good at, and that it wouldn't take up so much of my life after I was in that career. And I did a bunch of different things. I worked for social media. I was a high school math teacher. I got a master's in nutrition. I got married and had a kid. And eventually realized that if I didn't at least try to go to medical school, I would regret it. So I'm happy to be where I am. I'm also very happy that I had so much sort of out of academia experience between undergraduate and medical school.
I think for me, the time between undergrad and medical school really created a resilience that I didn't even know I had. So for me, I was homeless for some time between the time from undergrad and coming to medical school, and I had to really find a way to survive. And it's really important to know that when you're in medical school, all that you've built up is being called upon. The things that you have gone through, those things get you through medical school. So I want to just, tell people that it's really important to not be ashamed or be embarrassed about what you're going through right now, because no matter what, that's going to make you a much stronger medical student and a much stronger doctor. So I really look back on that period of time, and I'm so happy that I have that, because the things I call upon to help me are those experiences. So be really proud of your experience, be proud of what you're going through, because trust me, you would be so much better off because of it. Don't ever be embarrassed, don't ever be ashamed, because it's actually a gem that you are going to be in the long term.
How have your unique life experiences prepared you for the rigors of medical school?
Okay. As I mentioned before, I had a daughter, so that was challenge number one. I'm in school. I'm already doing biology of science, and I'm taking OChem. I'm taking genetics. I went back to school a week after I had her, so I can continue on and graduate on time. So having to balance that prepared me for a life of having to just balance life in general, because medical school is very difficult as far as balancing your life, studying, and everything else in between. So I think that gave me a lot of experience to prepare for the rigors of medical school.
I kind of did some things that were weird in the sense that I wasn't really medically focused, but in a way you can actually direct everything towards this lifestyle of serving others. And so I did things like marketing, I worked at a software company, I taught abroad, I did a post-bac, I made my own post-bac, I did that, I did clinical volunteer work. Some of it was medically related, other things you kind of had to think about whether or not this would help you in the field of medicine, but it's really about you dealing with people. And so it's something that involves education, communication, human interaction. That's essential, and that's something that you don't really get from your science classes, and that's something that I did in between. I did what I want, and it all led up to the point that I really wanted to pursue this career, this lifestyle of medicine.
Continue going down.
I totally agree with what my colleagues up here are saying. I'll also add that, so my maybe second job out of college was this pretty mentally boring 9-to-5 job where I would leave work at 5 o'clock, take no homework home with me. I would go play ultimate frisbee with my friends. I would go get a beer. My weekends were completely my own. It was awesome. And if I had, gone into some very stressful thing right after college, I think I would have missed out on a lot of fun in my 20s. So, here I am, 33 years old, not looking to start paying back my loans until I'm like 40 or something, but I don't regret it. I had a great time. This is my life.
Yeah, I think for me, you guys are really amazing, by the way. Can I say that? I think for me, it's really important that I talk about the things I did in between. So I went to grad school, went to get a master's in neuroscience, and I taught undergrad. And I really got to appreciate what it's like to learn from a different perspective. So learning how to actually study, but what I learned as a teacher. And then after that, I went to do a post-bac program here, actually, at Davis. And during that, I also worked. And I worked taking care of people that were sick in different aspects, mentally ill, people that had cerebral palsy. I would do overnight shifts, and I'll stay with them and take care of them and cook for them, clean them. And doing that job really showed me about, the idea that medicine is all about service and the humanity of medicine. And as someone who was basically just taking care of these people, I saw them as not a patient, but as a person that really requires love and attention. And the things that I learned working with those patients are what I want to take with me to medicine. So whatever you're doing, I don't care if you're, teaching, kindergarten, working at a bookstore, all those experiences will come in handy. don't ever negate what you're doing. That's what I want to just emphasize. Do not ever think that what you're doing is not medically relevant. Just because your neighbor is like, doing amazing cancer research at, Genentech does not mean that whatever you're doing is not going to make you a good, strong applicant for medical school. As long as you have the right perspective about it. If you reflect on what you're doing, you can be applicable to anything about medicine.
Everything you do makes you. So be confident in that. And during this process, especially as a non-traditional student, it's rigorous, it sucks, it's hard. If you're confident in yourself, you're going to achieve great things. But that starts with you being proud of the work that you've done. So it's a real big mental and emotional game. And that's something that you need to overcome first.
For those of you who changed your career focus and direction, how did you specifically confirm your interest in medicine?
I did something that I found out I didn't like to do. And so working in a 9-to-5 job, it was a grind. It was basically commuting, dealing with traffic, and then dealing with your boss. And I felt like the work that I did didn't contribute to something that I was particularly proud of. And that kind of steered me away from certain things, and it also steered me towards other things. And it's really about trying the unexpected, kind of embracing every opportunity that you do get. And that really showed me that medicine is for me. And sometimes it takes people a little longer, but there's no such thing as an epiphany. You do have to really grasp this decision based off of so much experience.
Do you recommend participating in a post-baccalaureate program for applicants who did not major in the hard sciences?
I will answer yes. I go to school with a lot of students who majored in like Middle Eastern studies, music, art, and those were the individuals who had a hard time in school with the sciences and the hard sciences. And you go through science in about 2 weeks. You cover like a subject of biochemistry. Then you're moving on in another 2 weeks. You're covering another topic of genetics. So I would recommend doing a post-baccalaureate program, definitely, because you will need it or you're just going to fail out, honestly, to be realistic.
Yes, I really recommend doing a post-bac program. I did a post-bac program even though I was a science major. I think there's two different kind of post-bacs. There's the career enhancement ones for those that are career changers. Then there's those that actually enhance your GPA after you've already done a science undergraduate GPA. It's really important because you can unlearn some of the bad habits you learned in undergrad. The things that, even if you were a non-science, major, whatever deficiencies you had going through undergrad, post-bac is your chance to start all over again. It really is a clean slate to some degree because medical schools do look at your post-bac GPA really closely. So if you can dedicate those 2 years, that 1 year, however long it takes to do a post-bac program, and really correct those things, they really like that. So, don't bring in old habits to post-bac programs. If you're going to do one, really reflect, am I ready? Because if you're going to do one and do bad, it doesn't do you any good. So when the time comes, if you're considering doing a post-bac program, research, go to the schools, talk to the people that work there, see what their success rates are for people that graduate from their schools. Do they get into medical schools after they finish their post-bac programs? Talk to alumni if you can. Make sure it's the right decision for you because they're not cheap. They're really expensive. Is your life conducive for a post-bac in that time? If you're working 2 jobs, it may not be conducive to do a post-bac program. Really, really prohibitive. So I recommend taking the time to just do it. Don't work, don't do anything else if you can help it. Because what you do in that post-bac could be what gets you into medical school. And I think for me, it really was. My post-bac experience here at Davis, I did a 1-year post-bac here, was the thing that got me into medical school because I did really well in it. I had a good support system here. And everyone went for my interviews. They're like, your post-bac GPA was stellar. And that's what we saw first when we looked at the application. So don't do it, very, very semi-casually. Do it hardcore. Don't do it at all.
Also keep in mind there's such thing as an informal post-bac program. There's a lot of nice, tailored, formal post-bac programs that tell you what classes to take and gives you the support that you need. But if you don't have that opportunity, you can always make your own, and that's what I did. I went to CSU Bakersfield. I took the classes that I needed to take, which I can talk more about later. but essentially you can do it on your own and it'll still be good, but do keep in mind it's kind of a make or break type of thing. You need to get as high grades as you can in this post-bac to prove to the administration that you did change or you can handle the rigorousness of medical school.
Okay. Did you find a mentor who guided you through your decision-making process to pursue medicine? If so, in which ways did they impact you the most?
I would say yes. I actually was introduced by my stepfather and to one of his colleagues who was a sports medicine physician, and he was also an osteopathic physician. I was looking into attending osteopathic-only medical schools at that time. So he became my mentor at least 2 years before I actually applied to medical school, and he helped me along with the process. He helped me with personal statements. He helped me with just lifestyle, what it's like to have kids, to be married, just with everything. He was a lifesaver, honestly. So I do recommend having a mentor. And they actually helped me get into medical school because I feel he gave me confidence that I felt sometimes I was lacking because of my life experiences. And, they're not going to want someone who has kids, or, maybe I'm someone that I took too much time off. I had a lot of self-doubt, honestly. And it felt good to have someone reinforce that I could do it.
You shouldn't have to do medical school by yourself, and that's something all of you guys need to realize, and that includes the process. So that's where a mentor really comes in to play, because it's a daunting task, it's hard, it's time-consuming, and you really need a support system to guide you through it. For me, my inspiration was my family, my parents in particular, but a mentor did help in the professional aspect of it. So if you can, just put yourself out there, because doing this alone is too hard. Doing it at all is hard, but doing it by yourself is too hard.
Yeah, I think that one thing I want to talk about is that you can have a lot of mentors. You don't have to limit yourself to one. I have mentors in all different levels of medical education, faculty, people that are not even physicians. I have my French teacher from high school who's still a mentor of mine. They don't have to look like you. You don't have to have one, mentor who resembles your path or your experiences. It's really important to be humble and to reach out to people. One thing that I was taken aback by is the fact that people really want to mentor people. And a lot of us students don't ask and don't reach out. And when you reach out, the support that you get, the reception that you get can actually surprise you. One of my mentors, Dr. Alden Harkin, he's the chief of surgery at UCSF East Bay. And that's someone that I had read about as like a cardiothoracic surgeon who's like famous. I thought, why would he even give someone like me a chance? I'm the girl from Oakland who lives on the street. Like, he would not have anything to do with me. He's like this amazing guy. And because I went to talk to him, he reached out to me and he became a mentor, became a family member for me. And he's 75 years old, white guy. I am, 20s black girl from Oakland. So, you don't have to feel intimidated. Yes, revere what they do to a certain degree, have respect for what they do. But when you approach people, when you email them, when you call them, when you go to their offices, show enthusiasm, show passion. You'll be surprised at how people take you under their wings. So my advice is don't be shy and don't think that they don't want to help, because you'll be surprised at how much they really want to help you.
I'm just going to put a quick plug in for peer mentors. A lot of my classmates, especially fellow non-traditional older classmates, were super helpful in terms of just being on my page, in terms of, I'm sitting, feeling like a grandmother in this class of, kids who are like younger than my little brother. So having other people sort of in my shoes was very helpful. And also finding people to read personal statements, a good reader, a good editor, whether that's, your partner, your parent, a faculty member, that is invaluable.
All right. How do you balance your personal and family life with the demands of medical school? Do you have any specific tips for applicants or students who would be going through the same issues or struggles?
First thing I would say is know yourself, honestly. Know what you like, know what you don't like, know your study habits, know your partner, know your kids, know everything. Have a support system if you can. Try to go to school local to a support system if you can't. You might have to do like some of my classmates who are parents. Hire a nanny. It's something you have to think about. It's an extra expense. You have to take out extra loans, or if your husband or wife works, they help pay for it. I would say you're not really balancing, you're kind of like shifting priorities. So handle that one priority, move to the next, and then the day's over, you've handled the day, you look forward to the next day. It's not something that's just going to fall into place perfectly. It's something that you're just going to have to work out at every day. And just honestly, you have to be a great, someone who knows yourself, know how you study. That's one thing I had to learn the first few weeks in medicine. How do I like to study? Because I need to figure it out fast because it's not going very well. So that's something that I had to tell my partner and say, look, I'm going to libraries every Saturday. I love you guys. Mommy has to go. And I told my kids that, and eventually it became a routine in the family. They knew, okay, bye, Mom, we'll see you later. And then you don't feel guilty, and then you're able to still accomplish your goals in medicine.
So my husband was diagnosed with cancer 3 weeks before I started medical school and passed away halfway through my second year of medical school. So I've been sort of becoming a single mother throughout medical school and sort of learning how to make these new balances. And in this really funny way, med school kept me from being too stressed out about cancer, and cancer kept me from being too stressed about medical school. And for a long time, that balance really worked. Certainly, there were times when cancer became too much, and I stepped back from medical school. And my faculty, administrators, and classmates were all extremely supportive and continued to be. But for me, waking up in the morning with this extremely wonderful 3-year-old is a great way to start the day. And yeah, my days are busier and I can't go socialize with my classmates because I have to go home and pick them up from preschool and do things. But for me, it's wonderful. I love having something that allows me to, I think medical school can consume a lot of people. And I really value the opportunity to be balanced in other ways. The other advice that I've heard that I really take to heart is that it can be very hard to get work-life balance every single day. But if you do that over the course of a year, that's sustainable. There's going to be times when you need to focus on school. There'll be times when you need to focus on family. And, as long as you don't spend 10 months of the year at school and 2 months or, worse, you'll do all right.
First of all, my deepest condolences for your loss. I think what I want to add to that is, it's really important to take care of yourself. Sometimes I think when I was trying to get into medical school, I thought of it as a destination. Like once I got to medical school, that was it. But it's only the beginning. And life does happen in medical school. You can't pause your life for 4 years till it's over. My classmate had a baby after finals of our first year. It was amazing. We had people go through losses in their family. We had people, get sick. I was sick in medical school. I was in the emergency room one day, and I called our dean, and he just helped me so much. And so it's really important to take care of your health, take care of yourself, and try not to overwork yourself to death, because I think a lot of pre-meds are like type A personalities or perfectionists. We want to do it hardcore or don't do it at all. And that's okay to a certain degree, but do not get sick and work yourself into a point where you're not able to take care of yourself. Ask for help if you're struggling, if you're flailing, if you find that things aren't working out. Ask, faculty members, ask your peers. Don't suffer in silence. Don't self-isolate. Because for me personally, when things get really stressful or bad for me, I go inwards. I don't tell anybody about it. I'll figure it out by myself. I'll study harder. I'll do something harder. But when you reach out and ask for help, people really do want to help you. Your teachers, your faculty at your medical schools, use all those resources. If you have to go see a counselor, talk about how you're feeling. Depression is a big issue in medical school. A lot of people get really depressed in their first year because it's something you've never done before. It could take you by surprise. So don't be afraid to ask for help. don't suffer in silence. You're not a Superman. Like, you're a human being. You're going to have bad days and good days. And medical school is not the end. It's just the beginning. And don't give up everything for it. You have to still live. So that's my biggest advice to all of you guys. It doesn't end when you get there. It's only beginning.
Right. Considering you may have taken your last science courses perhaps a while before applying to medical school, how did you acquire your letters of recommendation?
For me, I kept in contact with a lot of the teachers that I got along with. My OCAM teacher. I kept in contact with a professor that I did research for in the summer, and I also kept in contact with another professor that I did research for, and just having, they in a sense were my mentors as well. We just had a good relationship. They worked with me. They were willing to help me through any process, knowing that I was pregnant during that time in undergrad, and just keeping that contact throughout my time after I graduated helped. And then when I was ready to apply, I just asked them, and they were very willing to help me out. So I think having an established relationship with someone before you leave undergrad helps, and if you're in post-bac, having a relationship with someone in post-bac helps as well.
Yeah, I did a post-bac program, so the post-bac letters really came in handy. But if you are not in contact with your undergraduate campus, it would not be a bad idea to go back and see if you can meet some of those professors that you did have that did play an impact. Luckily for you, medical school application requires more than just your science letters. There's a science letter, there's a non-science letter, there's a community service letter, there's a work letter if you have a job. There's other letters you can have as well to balance it all out. So it's not just all of your science teachers. So you can have a multifaceted sphere of letters too. But you need those science ones as well. So, but don't be defeated. There's other letters that can also help you in the process.
How did you decide that the medical school which you are currently attending fits your specific personality and goals?
That's a good question. I knew that I wanted to stay local. I'm from this area. I grew up in Fairfield, California. It's like 35 miles down the way. So kindergarten, high school, and then I went to school locally in California State, East Bay in Hayward. So I'm a local girl. I knew I needed help. I needed to stay around my family. So what were the medical schools in the area? Davis, Stanford, UCSF, and there's Toro. I easily took out the other three because I knew I wanted to pursue osteopathic medicine. And so there's not a lot of osteopathic medical schools in California. There's Western in Pomona, and then there's Toro up here. So that kind of helped narrow it down as far as location and what I wanted to do. And when I went on the interview at Toro, it just felt great because the person who was taking us around, he was a father of 3 kids. And so I felt like, wow, if he's able to do it, I know I can do it. And he was very encouraging, and so that helps solidify this was the place for me, and I got accepted, and I'm going there now.
I think people take for granted how important people are in terms of picking medical school. A lot of times it's, I want to go anywhere that can accept me, or maybe the place that has the best research, or this particular doctor that works there impresses me, so I want to go there. But you're going to spend 4 years with this group of people. You better make that 4 years count. Those 4 years count. And that's where the support system, this networking, this camaraderie, it all comes down to people. And when I did my interviews for medical school, that's something that I prioritized. Like, every school looks good on interview day. They impress you with free food, they impress you with candy, like anything. Like, they give you so much swag. But after that day, it becomes reality, and you really have to think about, do I want to spend time with this group of people, with this administration, with these professors? And when I came to Davis, you couldn't compare it to any other school. The type of support that just even the administration gave you was not something that was normal, I would say, at other schools. And especially starting my first week of medical school, once I met my fellow classmates, it really reinforced that I did make a good decision. And looking at the second years and how happy that the second years are, they give us scrubs, they give us books, they help us they tutor us. They like, it's amazing. You have to really think about the people that go to the school for you to make an educated decision on which school to pick. I know money and location and all these things do come into play, but in the end, it's really the people that you're going to interact with the most. And so that's something that I really want you guys to emphasize when you look at the schools. It's not just the schools picking you, you're also picking the schools. You have the power to choose which school you want to go to, and pick the one where you're going to be happy at. Don't pick the one where you're going to be miserable at for 4 years.
I'll just to reiterate the logistics piece. When I was looking for a medical school, I was trying to co-locate with my husband, who was just finishing up his PhD and wanted to do work in international development. So, being in a big city like San Francisco was really important. So the two-body problem was my main driver.
Your gut instinct is really important. When you go to the interview, your gut tells you how you're feeling at those schools. Some schools you have to kind of pretend to be somebody just to be able to get through the day, because you know that you don't quite fit in because who you are is not something that you feel it's okay for that day. So listen to your gut and just check in with yourself after the interviews is over. Like, how did I feel at the school? And if they have a revisit after you get in, go back to the schools and see and talk to the students. I think Davis is really special. I don't want to, talk about what he already talked about, but it is a very unique family-oriented place, and that was important for me because my family is in Africa, most of them are, and I didn't have family here in Oakland for many, many years. So when I came to a school that felt like family, my gut was like, you might fit in here. But I don't want to underestimate what I call the seductive effect of other schools. When you are someone that has been trying to get into medical school for so long, and now schools are writing you because they want you, man, it can be heady. You can just get overwhelmed by like, wow, this school wants me and that school wants me. And you start thinking like, wow, maybe I should go to like a bigger marquee name or something like that, because it feels really good to be wanted after a long time trying to get to this process. But listen to your gut. 4 years is a long time. Med school is uniquely hard. No matter where you go, there's no easy medical school. There's no easier curriculum. It's really, really, really hard. But your environment should cushion some parts of that, and that's really important. So don't just follow the names. Don't just follow what you think other people should do because they tell you this is a better school, it has a better ranking, and all those things. Follow your gut. It's really important.
Great. Did you ever feel uneasy through the process of re-entry into the world of academia? If so, how did you handle these situations?
I felt that way for maybe halfway through the first year of medical school. I felt like everyone was young. They all just graduated like 2 months ago, and now, they're just working through the coursework, and I'm sitting there fumbling through, trying to remember just basic science information. So I kind of felt defeated, honestly. I can be honest and say that. But at the same time, I also knew this is what I wanted. I've been working all this time to get here, so I'm not going to just give up now. So I worked through it. I got books. I went to we have like a tutor specialist at our school. I had him help me with the ways that I like to learn, the ways I like to study, and I applied those techniques, and I started to see a big change. And like I said before, you're constantly shifting and changing your studying habits. Not one way will work the next time you have to take an exam, and the way that someone else, like your fellow classmate, studies, it might not work for you. And so you just have to keep at it. That's what I would say. Keep at it and learn the way that you like to study and what works best for you, because it is intimidating, especially when you've had that long break and you haven't been doing research projects and you haven't been writing reports and really taking any tests. You're working 9 to 5, coming home, relaxing, watching TV, hanging out on the weekends or whatever. So I would say, just keep at it and get help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You've gotten this far, ask for help.
Yeah, I want to talk about the insecurity effect of medical school. I don't know if everybody feels like this. Maybe you guys do too. But I feel and felt really insecure coming into medical school. It felt like to me, like there was that one guy in undergrad that got like 98% on every test, like that smartest guy in the room, and there's 100 of them in my classroom. And I'm next to them. and you feel like you are the dumbest, you don't know anything, and they're all so brilliant, they've all done amazing things, and the exams start coming at you fast and furious, and maybe you didn't get the best, maybe you didn't almost even pass some of the early exams, and you start thinking like they made a mistake, maybe they picked the wrong person, like somehow I snuck in. The imposter syndrome really seeps in. So don't underestimate the fact that you have a lot of emotional doubts about, can you even make it? And I found that a lot of people were going through it, but people didn't talk about it enough. So I thought I was the only one. I'm like, I know I'm the dumbest person here. I just know it. And you're not. And so please, 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 speak up when that's happening for you. Go talk to either faculty, talk to people, your classmates. Like, is it just me, or was that just like Arabic on the board? I thought it was English, but I don't know what, I've sat in a class and they're talking to me in English words, and I'm just like, I think they're speaking Mandarin because I don't know what they're talking about. And you have those moments all the time in medical school. You always feel like you're out of your element. So get used to feeling like you don't know what you're doing, but also be honest with yourself. How much are you really studying? How much are you really studying? Because you can have a book in front of you, right, for 4 hours and nothing's gone in. I took 4 hours at the library. I studied so hard. Like, did you really study that hard? So check in with yourself, because those self-delusions will come out and plague you on exam days. So really be honest, and don't underestimate that you feel like you don't know anything all the time, like every day. I don't know if it ever goes away.
I'll say that I've had a hard time, sort of same thing with the insecurity, asking questions, because I feel like if I ask a question, then everyone knows how dumb I am. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm paying really good money to be educated, and if they don't know what I don't know, then they can't educate me. So, for me, it feels very vulnerable to be like, wait, I don't know what that acronym is. I don't remember what this disease process is. Can you fill me in? And sometimes it's not appropriate, like we're on rounds and things are going really fast. But remember that you're paying really good money. It's their job to educate you. So make sure that you're getting the education.
I think imposter syndrome is kind of the name, and that's prevalent in medical school. You're always going to feel insecure. I think I feel insecure right now, but the important thing is that you learn to develop and get over it, because the school that picked you for a reason. It's because you're capable. It's because you have compassion. It's because you have the capacity to do great things in medicine. They can't be wrong all the time. And I'm pretty sure you're special enough to think that, yeah, I can do this. It just takes some time to finally get that confidence. And it's normal. The best thing to do is, like I said, that's why people is important. The school that you go to, the people will help you achieve that next level, because you don't have to do it alone.
How did you fight through the nerves in order to authentically portray yourself during your admissions interviews?
This is a good question. I just took a deep breath, and when they asked the questions, I just said, okay, just answer, just be yourself. And that's what I did, because they threw out some really tough, there's nothing written in a book anywhere to prepare you for questions. A lot of it was based off your application, and then they created scenarios, and they asked me up front, how would you create a program, for example, to help with getting the public interested in certain type of public health. And it was just a question that came out of left field for me. But then I just thought about it, and I just answered authentically, and I think them seeing a non-rehearsed answer helped me with them seeing who I truly was. Because at our school at Toro, you interview with at least 4 to 5 other people at the same time. So you're not just by yourself, you're with other people, and that is intimidating in itself. And then now you have to answer questions, and you only get, I think, a total of 15 minutes total for your interview time if you break it up from an hour to exude who you are. So you have to just be an authentic person. And if you don't know, just say, you know what, I really don't know. Because there was at least 3 people on my panel, and they fumbled, and they just kept saying the same thing over and over again. And by that time, it was kind of like the end of their interview, because they were just trying to be rehearsed. And you could just see right through it, and it didn't look very good. So I would say just be yourself. Learn who you are. You have a lot of insecurities, and we keep saying that over and over again, but we're just being honest. We're just trying to help other people who feel the same way too. And through the end of it, I just realized that all I can do is be myself.
The interview is basically just to get to know you. And so I guess the best advice someone told me was that you prepared your whole life for this interview, because all they're doing is checking to see who you are. There's no point in trying to be someone who you're not. As long as you are true to yourself, that's what they want to see, and that's going to come out naturally. The interview portion, just think of it as you're talking to a colleague or a friend or a family member. And I know there's a lot at stake, but that really brought me confidence, because however many years you lived is however many years you're preparing yourself to be asked these questions, to portray yourself as this individual of who you actually are. And that's kind of hard to understand right now, but when you get to that point and you're about to cry because how stressed you are at the interview, just think about it. Just think that they only want to see who I am, and let me show them who I really am.
I would not recommend this advice to anyone, but my two best interviews, I was sort of coincidentally extremely sleep deprived. And I think it ended up being great interviews because I didn't have the mental capacity to put up some sort of front. I was just like, this is who I am. I mean, slightly more gracefully, but yeah, I would echo, just be yourself, show genuine interest in your interviewer. It's flattering to have someone ask you, oh, how did you end up at this school? Or why do you think I should come here? Yeah.
I want to talk about the MMI, the multiple mini interviews. A lot of medical schools are going that direction. Some have a dual, some parts of it is, some kind of one-on-one. Other parts of it is the MMI. And when I interviewed, my first interview was at Davis, and it was an MMI. And prior to that, I was Googling MMI, what is MMI, going to forums and people telling me all these different things, and read these bioethics books and articles, and it's really overwhelming, right? Because you think it's some mysterious thing that you don't know about. And I think for the MMI, my advice to students is for all of those scenarios they have, it's they have these multiple rooms. Some have 8 to 10 or so. You have about 10 minutes to reconcile whatever's happening in that room. It could be any sort of thing, right? And try not to, before your interview, over-research, over-rehearse, over-try to, think that you have to be something different in those rooms. There's nothing in those rooms that you haven't experienced. All they want to see is to gauge how you can really uniquely process anything that's thrown at you. It could seem like it's something that you haven't done, but you've done it. If someone is happy with you, upset with you, sad with you, going through something difficult, your friend, your daughter, your son, your husband, your wife, you're all those things. So all those human emotions you've gone through in your life. Like I said, bring your life experiences, but for the MMI, try to just go into it with this I wonder what they're gonna ask me. I'm gonna be myself, and just be yourself in those rooms. I wouldn't say don't take advice from other people about how to whatever, but honestly, if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't Google anything. I wouldn't read any bioethics books. I wouldn't, because all of those things don't matter for that moment. Just go in the room and answer the scenario, and you'd be just fine. If you're an introvert, be an introvert, but be a human being. If you're an extrovert, be an extrovert. Be whoever you are, but don't think you have to be anybody else, because who they bring to gauge you in those rooms are people that are trained to see all sorts of people. So don't have to be your best friend who's very talkative, or like me, I'm very talkative, or be really, really quiet and doctorish, or whatever you think they want you to be. Just be yourself.
All right, we have time for one last question. So what aspect of medical school did you find to be the most unexpected?
How much I like it, because I didn't expect I'd like it this much. Because everyone says that, it's going to be tough, and sometimes you won't have time for yourself, or, there's times where you want to cry, but in the end, I can't imagine anywhere that I'd rather be, and this is the most fulfilling, most humbling experience that I'm currently at. I'm very grateful that I was able to go to such a fantastic school as Davis, and I think that caught me off guard. It's how happy I would be suffering so much. So maybe that just means, medical students are kind of masochistic, but it's a pleasant surprise, I'd have to say.
It's really humbling. It's the humility of it all. I think for me, being able to work at a student-run clinic where you're able to sort of see patients and work with them. And one of the things that I've come to really love, and it scares me and it just makes me want to be a better person, is that when you put on that white coat, you walk in that room and you're just a first-year student or second-year student, you're not a doctor, you don't know anything. But the way patients look to you, like you already know something. They're coming to you with their pain, their vulnerability, their worries. It takes you by surprise, and it really inspires you. And I think for me, the patients have made this such a just life-changing experience for me, because I want to go work harder and study harder and learn that Krebs cycle and learn whatever they're throwing at me at school, because I can then utilize that one day as actually a doctor and actually know something one day. So I come back for more, because that trust that they confirm me is nothing I've ever experienced before, and it really makes this all of it worth it. All the long nights, all the pain, because someone wants you to help them feel better, and there's no greater feeling than that.
I would say along the same lines that I'm a third year, so I'm in my clinical rotations right now. It's very hard to transition from the second year to third year. It's something that I struggle with because there's no way to teach it. It's just something you have to go through. And so I would say having the experience to have someone who's a true patient, who has a real medical record, who has a real problem, and them tell you, thank you. You know, that in itself was unexpected at how much it would actually touch me and make me actually want to go and continue to study and work even harder, because I think that made me realize I am helping someone. Like, even though I feel like I'm a failure and maybe don't have the best scores or have the best board scores or anything of that nature, in the end it doesn't matter, because that one patient is telling me thank you. So in the end it was all worth it. So I think that aspect makes me feel that that was the most unexpected. I knew I would help people. You know, everyone says that, I want to help people. But, you know, when they actually in that moment and they're actually trusting you and they're giving you their most sacred possession, their body, and they're opening up everything about their body and their health to you, and for them to say thank you was the most unexpected.
I completely concur again with all of my esteemed colleagues. Making that student-doctor-patient relationship and that connection is incredibly powerful. And definitely look for ways to do that, you know, as soon as possible, whether it's the student-run clinic or shadowing or whatever. I think just to add one more perspective is how powerful it is to be among classmates. I mean, everyone goes to medical school because they want to help people, because they care about people. And so to be in this class of people who help people and care about people is just this, like, it's wonderful. So, you know, I fully believe that you learn as much from your classmates as you do from your professors and from your patients. So really take advantage of, you know, your teachers, your administrators, your classmates, your patients.
Alrighty, well, thank you so much to our distinguished panelists. Yes, let's give them a round of applause. And yes, if you'd like to speak with them more, they'll be up here for a little bit longer. So thank you so much for coming, and have a great rest of your night.